So we can check on it.
John Wick 2. Why do you continue to mess with Baba Yaga?
The Boogeyman?
Boogeyman, yeah.
Okay.
The Boogeyman. You know? Not because this is John Wick 2. The sequel to John Wick 1.
Which is the first of John Wick 1s.
It was the one John Wick to be the first. And
yeah.
Senior.
Since you were such a, you got such a boner for John Wick, I'm going to let you go first, Monsieur. We both saw John Wick 2, by the way. Not at the same time, though.
John Wick 2, directed by Chad Stahelski.
Oh, of course.
Is
of John Wick.
It's like John Wick 1, but the second time around.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
You
stole my synopsis, only phrased it in a less funny way.
I snagged it from your feet.
Oh,
I flipped the rug and everything. But in reality, John Wick, he had some revenge, and now people are getting revenge on him for getting revenge, and then revenge, and there's revenge happening. And there's that movie, John Wick 2, all wrapped up in a little peanut nutshell. It's pretty grand. But, did I like John Wick 2 is the real question here. Because I loved John Wick 1. So I can only either be liking John Wick 2 or disliking John Wick 2.
Or you could be indifferent. That's also an option.
I love John Wick 2. Almost, if not just as much or grand or equal to, John Wick 1. I liked it a lot. It was fantastic. What did you think about it since you made me go first? Like,
I love John Wick 1. Not as much as him, but I do love it. I thought John Wick 2 was okay. I'm indifferent to it. Which is why I said that he could also be indifferent to it. Because I'm indifferent. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was just okay. And he thinks he's John Wick, but he's far from it.
I don't know Gun Kong Kar Fu.
Do you want me to go into what I didn't like about it? Do you want to?
Go for it.
Go for it. Okay.
You, honey boo.
So the thing that was so great about the first one is because it was the first one of its series, and I did not know they were making a sequel at the time. There was suspense. You didn't know if John Wick was going to live or die, if he was going to succeed or fail. And that's what made it so intense the first time. The second they decided to make a sequel, they took away all suspense. They lowered the stakes because now we know John Wick is never going to die until maybe they stop making money, which probably won't happen. And they'll just keep making them over and over and over again, and he's not going to die, so there's no suspense, there's no stakes. Except for the T-bone steak you had earlier.
Man, was that just as good as John Wick 2.
And that is what I didn't like about this one. It's the second you make a sequel, you completely throw any suspense out the window, in my opinion. There's just no possibility of me caring if I know that the person's not going to die. Now, there are some series that beat this by picking a number, kind of like the Bourne series. Well, until they made Jason Bourne 4. But the Bourne series, when it was just the 3, there was a finality to it. You knew it was going to end. They said, this is the third one, this is the last one. And so you didn't know what was going to happen. You knew he wasn't going to die in the second one because they said they were going to make a third one, but they said the third one was final, so you weren't sure what was going to happen to the third one. When you announce there's going to be a sequel, and today when you announce there's a sequel, there's probably going to be a trequel and a fourquel, you just take away all suspense. It just makes it not as fun when you know that no one's going to die, or no one important's going to die at least. And I have other problems with it, but I wanted this to be a back and forth, so...
See, the thing with that is, I don't care as much as Mike does about it.
I do. I care a lot.
I was really hyped when they announced that there was going to be a sequel. I didn't really care whether or not John Wick was going to die or live, because it was just awesome for me, the whole ride for the first one. So when they announced the second one, I was like, frick yeah! Frick yeah, 2 times, man. 2
And
John
I was
Wicks.
like this.
So when they announced a second one, I was like, this is only gonna get great. This is only just a great. And what I hope happens is they make a trilogy and then stop with John Wick, because what they've done is they've made a world that I know I like. I know you don't. Really,
I don't dislike
care.
it.
You don't
I
care
just,
about it.
When you know the main character's not gonna die, there, in my opinion, there's no point in the movie, because like you watch a movie to see if someone's gonna go through with something, if someone's gonna succeed, and if you know they're gonna succeed, why bother watching the movie? That being said, the fight sequences, the visuals, everything about this movie is amazing, other than that point and the story. I didn't like the story, but we'll go into that.
I wasn't done.
Well, we were having a back and forth.
I wasn't done
Go,
yet.
do your stupid shit.
The reason I want it to be a trilogy and I want it to end with John Wick's chapters at a trilogy is because I feel like there's no way he's gonna live at the end of 3, because they set up another one, and they're obviously gonna do it. So for me, I hope the trilogy, like the third one, is the end of John Wick. But like I'm cool and not cool with them continuing the world of the assassins and stuff like that. But like I just want John Wick's story to end at 3 movies. That's it. If they do something else like they do with any other series, that's on them. I probably won't care that much about those. But with John Wick's, I hope it stays at 3. That way the way the suspense ends and he can't come back after that.
Now that would be great. Like if they ended it on 3.
Yeah.
And
like Bourne should have.
Like Bourne should have. And when they didn't say they were going to make a 4th one, it was a beautiful trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all know how that one went. But if they end it, I don't care if he dies or lives, but if they have a definitive ending for John Wick in the 3rd one, I'll be very okay with that, and I'll probably be easier on the 2nd one when that happens. And if they continue the universe, I like the universe, so I wouldn't mind if they continue the universe. But with the state of sequels now, where it's just pump as many out as you can, as fast as you can.
Giggity.
Yeah.
It lowers the quality of film in my mind. The stories are never as good, and I'll get into that regarding this one. It just kind of, it lowers the quality. It makes me not as excited for them. Each one going on. Like, I was a little excited for this, and now I'm not really that excited for the 3rd one. I mean, I'm still going to go see it, and, it'll probably be the thing I'm most excited for that weekend. But, it's just, it's the law of diminishing returns over and over again, The more you do and see something, the less exciting it is.
But after that, let's move on to something else.
Let's move on. Do you mind if I go for a bit?
Please.
The biggest problems I had with this is that it was overly brooding and not as fun as the first one. The first one was kind of like silly in a way, where you said it was cheesy. I thought it was just like a dark kind of humor.
Cheesy, silly. It's all.
It's
all the same to me.
To me, it's not all the same.
I don't have a big vocabulary, so that's what I mean.
But yeah, every single line of dialogue was just like. So it just took the fun out of it. The plot is just filled with unmotivated MacGuffins, which, like, every single thing in this movie was only there to move the plot along. Which, again, that's me nitpicking for an action movie that's not really meant to be super incredibly amazing. But, the first one had a rhyme and reason to it. Someone killed his dog, which was his last, link to his dead wife. And so he wanted to kill the person who did that. And there was a reason to it. And now they just threw this thing from his past that wasn't even mentioned in the first one. And like, oh, look, this is a thing now. I didn't like that. It was overly designed, specifically when they would call to lay hits. And they had all these women that looked the same, had glasses and tattoos. I thought that was just super cheesy and campy. And like, it just seemed like they were trying too hard, specifically with that part. That they were trying too hard to be cool. It kind of felt like Warriors, where every single world had a theme. Ruby Rose, worst part of this movie. She obviously didn't know sign language and was learned it for this movie. Because if you've seen someone who actually knows sign language speak with sign language or communicate with sign language, it's very swift and fluid, but she was just like...
She had to prove her point that she was a tough, independent young thug.
Meanwhile, she looked like a little teenage boy compared to everyone else she was around.
She did.
And you know, that would have been fine if they proved that she was badass, which I felt like they never did.
Yeah.
So those are all the problems I had with it. It's just, you know, I felt like it could have been better. I felt like it tried too hard. That's probably the biggest thing. It tried too hard to be as cool as the first. And it didn't fail, but it felt forced.
Like I said before, this movie it's kind of split even between 1 and 2, and it's really hard to pick which one's my favorite. Once I watch the first John Wick again, I'll probably lean back towards that one. But for right now, it's like they're both really good to me.
And that's probably why I'm a little disappointed in your reaction, because to me, hands down, one was 1,000 times better. And when you said that you're not sure which one you like more, I was like, did we watch the same movie?
But we all have different opinions.
Yeah,
on
and
movies.
that's fine. That's fine. It's just knowing you, I did not expect that. That's all I'm saying.
But
pew pew pew.
Pew pew. They definitely relied a lot on action in this movie instead of going towards the silly dark humor in this one. They kind of just pushed that off to the side. They kept the little dark humor in the beginning, like the first half hour, and then I felt like that first half hour was relying too much on being like the first movie.
I could see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
But after that kind of change, I was like, oh, thank God they're not going to do this the whole movie and try to copy the first movie that they did. Which, I mean, it's not really copying if it's the same thing, but
yeah.
I don't know how
they
to
didn't
explain
change it enough.
Yeah.
For you to feel like it was its own movie.
Yeah.
That I definitely do understand. I didn't, and I kind of felt that way too. I didn't like how serious they got though. That's the problem I had with it.
Here's why I thought that was kind of ridiculous that first half hour is because I didn't want to feel like I was watching John Wick 1 again. I wanted John Wick 2 to be kind of its own thing. So that's when that first half hour, when it passed and they started getting a little more serious, I was like, oh, thank God they're not doing that again. Because I don't want to watch John Wick 1.2 or 1.1 or however you want to. 0.5. Another cute little message is that, I was fully expecting, seeing that a pit bull was in the trailer for John Wick 2, that pit bull would go and fight with John Wick. But they didn't. He was just a cute puppy dog and given a good name to pit bulls like movies should do.
He was a cute puppy dog. He was a good boy.
I was really excited. I was like, man, this is just a really good dog, and people are afraid of pit bulls. This is great for pit bulls. How great. Well, that's all I've got for this movie.
Me too.
I think I'll probably end up doing a separate Glen's Day because there's probably a lot more that I should talk about, but I don't have the brain capacity for this. So
you had too much steak.
That's way too much steak. But yeah, so it's time for the scores. If you guys have never seen our little scores,
we gonna do that? I thought we were gonna do
the
out of
movie
5.
ratings, man. See, right here it's gonna be 1. It's gonna be 2. It's gonna be 3. 4 and 5. This freaking guy, right? What are you gonna rate it?
Since I haven't reviewed the first John Wick, I will say the first John Wick I gave it a 5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So this drop that I'm going to give it might not seem significant, but it really is. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Which is a significant drop for a sequel to a movie that had a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
So 3.5.
Okay. Because I said earlier in the video that I'm really at a standstill, and this might change when I do the Glen's Day. We don't know. It's going to be a couple months when I do that. This is also going to be a 5.
All right.
It's just gonna be slash little equal. Even though Ruby Rose, dude, she was a pain, cause she's in everything.
Thanks for watching. Right here.
Whoa.
That's gonna be the last Keystone Extra.
Which at this point, who knows?
Maybe Patterson. Commentary. Oh, Patterson.
Patterson.
Right here is gonna be a review for Patterson. Right here, that's gonna be
Cure for Wellness. Right here.
Yeah, Cure for Wellness. Yeah. And then right here, that's a subscribe button. Down below that.
Like, subscribe, dislike, even though there's many subscribes. And a comment section. Tell us what you thought of John Wick.
2.
What do you think?
2.